Hey guys, today we are comparing the Ultraman Suit version 7.3 model kit versus the 1/6 scale diecast figure from Dimension Studio and Eastern Model. So both from the same company. On the left is actually the diecast 1/6 figure and on the right is the model kit itself. So let's talk about the model kit. Let's talk about details. I think in terms of details and part separation, it is almost identical. I would say that it's not almost, it is identical to the 1/6 figure, diecast figure from the same company as well. So that is actually a very good bonus. In terms of the joints and also in terms of how strong the joints are, I was actually quite surprised at how sturdy the entire kit is. There's no loose part, no matter how I shake it, the arms will not wobble. There's no any loose parts anywhere. So that is actually quite a good bonus for me. Now in terms of articulation, it has the same level of articulation as a 1/6 scale diecast figure, so that is another great bonus as well. But let's talk about the build experience. How is the build experience for this guy? If you compare this with Bandai, I wouldn't say that they are at the same level. When you're putting this kit together, you do need to exert a little bit more force than you typically would on a Bandai kit. So just to make sure that those kits actually snap fit together, and when they do fit together, those guys are almost very tight. So you will have to be very careful to make sure that you snap the right parts in and not put in the wrong parts, because otherwise it's going to be a nightmare to take those parts together. So that is one thing I hope Dimension Studio and Eastern Model can improve on. But then again, given that they are quite new to this market, I would say that for 1/6 scale model kit at this size and this level of detail, articulation and joint, how tight they are, I would say that this is actually quite a good effort from them. Now let's talk about weapons. You basically get all the same weapons that is included with the 1/6 scale diecast figure. So this is some of the cool parts I'm going to share with you, which is the specimen swords. It's actually in the sheath itself. There's actually a small layer of sponge to protect the specimen swords from scratching against the walls. So that's actually a very cool gimmick from Dimension Studio and Eastern Models to make sure that you don't scratch the paint after you paint over the specimen sword. So very cool gimmick, but unfortunately you can't see it unless you take it out, which I'm not trying to attempt to, because it's gonna be very hard to put them back together. The EX rifle, as you can see here, is being painted with a combination of silver and gunmetal. So I've actually gotten this kit to be commission built by Dante Gunpla. So I think he's done a very good job of, putting in the gunmetal color as I've requested. If you compare this with the 1/6 scale diecast weapons, as you can see here, there's actually a big stark difference between them. And I would say that the 1/6 scale diecast figure actually goes a little bit more anime accurate versus mine. I've actually decided to go with a little bit more realistic gunmetal and a silver metal combo finish on the specimen crusher. So very cool looking weapon, and this level of detail, part separation is identical. And look at how big the specimen crusher is. So definitely worth the asking price that I would have to say. In terms of price, the Eastern Model and also Dimension Studio 1/6 scale Dimension Ultraman Suit 7.3 is seriously very cheap. The level of detail, paint job, okay, let's not talk about paint job, because you do need to paint this kit, because this kit will need to be painted. So if you think that you are not able to paint it yourself, you can always get someone to commission build it for you. Okay, now let's talk about the comparison between the model kit and the action figure. Obviously with the diecast figure, it is a lot heavier versus the model kit. It is very light, right? So that is a two different thing, because the diecast parts are very heavy. And with the model kit itself, you will need to decide what kind of color scheme you want to get into it. As you can see here on the torso, on the legs, on the model kit, Dante Gunpla has helped me to paint it with a little bit more of a metallic finish, metallic gunmetal finish, versus the die-cast version actually is more of a dark silver, dark grey finish, which is a little bit more anime accurate. So that are the only difference that, seriously, if you compare both versions. If you look at the model kit itself, it might seem a little bit bare. That's because I didn't put in the decals. But other than that, the model kit is identical to the figure. So why should you get the model kit? Well, you probably want to get the model kit because you will want to customize the paint to the way you want it. You can actually paint the whole kit as a stealth version if you want to, because that is the other mode that Ultraman Suit 7.3 actually has. And also the model kit is good for people who are tight on a budget. But of course, if you really want those deep red, gummy red, or as I like to call it, the Ferrari red color that you see here on the 1/6 scale diecast, you should definitely get the diecast if you don't have the time to actually build and put a kit together. But all in all, the model kit itself is a nice kit to have. It's a 1/6 scale kit coming from a new company, and the level of detail, articulation, tight joints, it's seriously very good for the low asking price that they are actually asking for in the market. It's definitely worth getting. The only things that they should really improve on is in terms of the build experience, to make the pegs not too hard to put in. So that is the only thing that you need to make sure that when you're building this kit, yes, it's actually okay to insert a little bit more force to make sure that the parts snap fit together, right? But all in all, I would say that if you are tight on the budget and you can't afford the 1/6 scale die-cast figure of Ultraman Suit 7.3, do get the model kit. It's definitely worth every single cent. A very big thank you to Tande Gampla for helping me to build and also paint this guy. But all in all, I'm going to have one guy with the Spacium Crusher displayed in my display cabinet, and another Ultraman Suit 7.3 with the Spacium Swords. I think that's how I'm going to display both of them side by side. So that's our review or comparison between the model kit and the diecast figure. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you love it, go and check out your local toy and hobby stores to buy the model kit. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.